Welcome to History Science Theater 3000, a free, unofficial video essay series that dives deep into the lore of what I believe is the best television series ever made. I'm your jumpsuit journalist, Zoe, and I am ready for some Vikings football. Since this is the first episode of HST3K, I'm kicking off the channel the same way Joel and the Bots kicked off their journey on the Satellite of Love on November 24th, 1988. With the god-awful Z-grade monster movie that had premiered 20 years earlier, The Green Slime.
The Green Slime.
Directed by Kinji Fukasaku and written by Ivan Reiner, this cheesy flick came and went in the late 1960s without making much of a splash. IMDb only gives it 4.9 out of 10 stars. Joel told Wired magazine in 2014 that it's an excellent candidate for riffing because it has, quote, big, goofy monsters, guys in suits, and serious people trying to put across real emotion in an absurd situation. Despite the pilot episode of MST3K taking its name from The Green Slime, the film is barely featured, and there is a notable lack of riffs. In case you care about the stats, and since you're watching it all, I assume you do, later episodes contain about 550 riffs on average, which shakes out to around one joke every 5 seconds. In the pilot, however, we only get a handful. That's because the first episode was designed to show off the show's intended plot. Before the idea of a plot was basically entirely abandoned, of course. Joel wanted MST3K to tell the story of the last man to survive the apocalypse. He builds robot pals to keep him company in space as he preserves old movies in an attempt to keep the human spirit alive.
I am orbiting your planet on a man-made satellite of my own design.
He was inspired by a scene in the 1971 apocalypse film The Omega Man, in which Charlton Heston reflects on the human race while watching clips of Woodstock.
No, they sure don't make pictures like that anymore.
Another crucial spark of inspiration for Mystery Science Theater came to Joel when he was only 16 years old. He was working on a homecoming float for his school, Ashwaubenon High in northeast Wisconsin, while listening to Elton John's hit record, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Now, for those unfamiliar, vinyl sleeves open like a book. Yeah, I know some of you Gen Xers are groaning. This record in particular contains illustrations for each track. One in particular stood out to Joel. The drawing for I've Seen That Movie Too. It portrays a couple in a theater watching a Clark Gable film. Any MST3K fan will find that row of silhouetted theater seats very familiar. Viewers' reactions to MST3K were mixed. Love it or hate it, audiences have always had strong opinions about movie riffing. When the cast set up an answering machine in the show's infancy, they were astounded to find it full the next morning. Many reviews were positive, but one Minnesotan felt compelled to call in just to complain.
Enjoyed the movie, but really hated the constant interruptions that were on there. It's like being in a theater with a bunch of rude junior high teenagers.
Of course, Servo had something to say about that.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, is that your head or did your neck blow a bubble?
Hey, you should talk.
Despite unflattering reviews like these, the cast of MST3K was clearly onto something that winter of 1988. The devil is in the details, like at the end of The Green Slime, when Joel actually applauds the film. This sets a positive, wholesome tone that would continue throughout the series. No matter how torturous the pacing, how wooden the acting, and how hole-ridden the plots, the films are never bad enough to break the Satellite of Love crew. After all, as Joel so eloquently told Wired magazine, we were the audience's companions, and people don't want to spend time with jerks. Except he didn't say jerks. This philosophy has undoubtedly paid off for the show's legacy. Fans from all walks of life have found an inexhaustible font of joy in the show's shamelessly obscure jokes, as if the ageless robots are our own personal pals. And in a way, they are. Thank you for joining me on this first adventure through the history of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Join me next time as we obsessively explore the grueling minutiae of this little Midwestern puppet theater masterpiece. In the meantime, check out the description for more resources about MST3K and this channel, and of course, keep circulating the tapes. because I've seen that movie too.